I woke up grateful today because I woke up. You have that moment where you swing your feet out of bed and you put your feet on the floor and you think, I get another day. I get another day to go on that journey of where and what I want to be. See, I've been lucky because I've had a lot of experiences in my life. I feel like I've lived a couple of lives. Down in the dumps, up in the highs, and everywhere in between. And sometimes I shock with myself with some of the amazing things that I've learned. And I think I'm pretty smart with some of the things I say and do. And sometimes I try to get out of my truck with the seatbelt still on. But hey, we all have our moments. And in that crazy life, I have dived deep into philosophical belief systems without prejudice to understand who's got the corner on the market and to try to figure out what it means to me and where I'm supposed to go with my future. There's a few things that are pretty critical that I hope to share with you, and that one of those is that we're all from the same source. We're all living the same journey. Sure, we have different perspectives, we have different opportunities in front of us, but where you come from and where you're going is the same place as where I come from and where I'm going. That's something I think we can agree with. Living with these different methods and these different purposes, driven by that same energy, that makes me lucky to know that the soul that drives me is just as important as the soul that drives you. And what does that mean? That means that I honestly and earnestly and daily invest my energy into this world for the best of the benefits of the people that I get to engage with, just as much as I get to engage with myself. There is no emoji like the ego, right? The ego says it's about me and my journey. But when you tap into the reality that others have just as special of a journey and that you get to impact them, that's pretty powerful. It shapes everything on my trip. So I have one primary goal, is to impact as many people as I can in a positive manner. It's as simple as that. Hindsight's 20/20. We've all had those moments, right? Is there anybody in this room, by show of hands, that does not believe that hindsight's 20/20, when they had a gut intuition and a feeling like I needed to go there, but instead my brain, it went there. And then some new piece of knowledge comes in, or some time passes and a new identity's developed, and you go, gosh, I knew it. I knew I was supposed to go there, but I ended up going there because I got confused with my brain. I think we can all agree that tuition does exist, but it's unfortunate because we live in a world of brain-dominated being. We live in a culture in the United States that says that our brain is more powerful than our intuition. We do this in our business lives, we do this in our personal lives, and it's simply not true, and we know it, but we live it that way. So what credence is the heart. Who's driving your ship in your life? Are you driving your ship through your brain or through your intuition, through your gut, through your soul? The problem with the brain is it's simply ignorant. It lacks the knowledge. But your intuition, we can't even define where that knowledge comes from. We just know we have that feeling. But your brain is an input, conceptualize, output. We're only as smart as we can garner that knowledge and learn those skills to be able to manage that knowledge, to then apply it. And I think what I'm trying to say is, get out of your brain in your business. Get out of your brain in your life. Get somewhere deeper. Follow that gut instinct. Do those things that lead you to something more purposeful and more driven in your future. I like to think of it as Captain Soul. Captain Soul's driving my ship. Now the crew, the brain crew, I need them to fundamentally operate and manage all of the details of that ship. But Captain Soul knows how to go through the roughest storms to be able to deliver us safely to the harbor. The crews, the brain, they want to hold on to every single rail they can when those waters get harsh. They want to turn south. They want to avoid. They want to change the direction of your path. You had a goal here. Oh no, there's an obstacle. Well, our brain wants to get in the way and change the path that we go on. And we keep losing sight of that journey and then we get lost. Let Captain Soul take the realm. Because we see these negatives in life as a negative, but they're truly not negatives. Negatives are just there as a polar opposite of the positive. They're there as a stepping stone. Some of us have grown the biggest and the most in our journeys through the negatives that we've encountered. Doesn't that mean that that negative is actually positive? A lady driving down the road in a rough neighborhood, nighttime, breaks down on the side of the road, blown tire, has to fix it. Is that a negative? Is that a negative? I think, yeah, that's apparent negative. Now, if she gets out of that car and she's frustrated and angry and scared, doesn't know what to do, phone's not working, do you think she's going to see that the man who decides to stop and help her actually can become her future love of her life if she sees that negative as a barrier? Or could she see that life in any situation, in any circumstance that we encounter, actually provides us that opportunity of, this is here for a reason. There's a purpose why this is here. Why did my car break down on the side of the road? Who's this man helping me? Why is he so kind to do that? And all of a sudden, the future changes for the soul that desired a spouse. Now, the way the world works, it delivers things to us in both the negatives and the positives. But we seem to attribute that a negative is actually bad. A negative is just a stepping stone in that journey. There's always purpose. 15 years ago, looking from the outside in, I was living the white picket fence life. And I think we can all imagine what that looks like. I've got the dog in the backyard, the spouse, the young baby. When I was a 7-year-old, I can remember building a deck with my dad. I can remember in the backyard, and I said, Dad, I love contracting. This is so much fun. I love building. I want to do this when I get older. My dad was a contractor. He said, look at me, son. I'm beat up. You don't want to be like me. You're smart. You like art. You could be the first one in our family to go to college. Why don't you go become an architect? Okay, I'll go become an architect. Man, I was a driven kid. I was given all those brain thoughts. Go become an architect. Go to college. Meet your spouse. Go have the white picket fence life. But I faced one of the hardest decisions and issues I had to face at that time. See, for me, on the inside looking out, it wasn't a white picket fence. It was gray steel bars. I had imprisoned myself through the brain construct of what I was supposed to have been living, by the seeds that were planted in my brain, by the others that loved me and did their best. And I wasn't following anything that was happening here. I was in a marriage that was a repeat of my parents. Loveless. For the sake of, that's what you're supposed to do. I was holding my 1-year-old baby girl, thinking, you're going to recreate this same journey that I just recreated. That's painful and scary. And I knew at that time my soul wasn't in line with what that life was. I knew at that time, through some of the studies I was doing, my brain had constructed that reality very wisely, very successfully. And I also knew at that time I had to tear down that white picket fence because I couldn't allow that cycle, that mental brain, to repeat itself. It wasn't the right soul, heart, intuitive decision. Hindsight's 20/20. And I look at my life now, 10 years later, with my 14-year-old girl, so happy, so successful. My previous spouse, way happier, way more successful in her life. And I learned that was the right decision. It wasn't mentally, it was crazy mentally, but in the heart and the soul, it was the right decision. So fast forward to 2008. Why is this important? 2008, I'm in my new spouse, met the love of my life. I had the son that somehow I knew when I was 19 years old I was going to have a son, intuitively, not a brain thought. Adopted my son, had 2 more babies. Happy as could be. And in 2008, I had this realization that I was not living my dream for my career. I was working, making good money, doing work nationwide, but it was wrong because I couldn't share my philosophy. I couldn't talk about being heart-driven. I couldn't influence the lives of the people that I get to work with the way that I would if I were a business owner. So hey, I thought in my brain, crazy idea, it's 2008, the market's crashing. Why don't I go start an architecture firm? But the proof is in the pudding. 10 years later, started an architecture firm, crazy idea in a recession. Hardest few years. Drained my 401k. A lot of money saved up. Sold my assets, fed my family, barely. Racked up the credit card debt. But I stuck in it because my heart said it was right. I was now influencing people's lives. I was giving them opportunities for joy every day when they came to work. They had the same story, that every day they wanted to come into the office. It was joyful. It was purposeful. We talk about philosophy. It was exciting. And the proof being in the pudding, 10 years later, we're the 6th largest architecture firm in the state of Idaho. That's a big deal when you're dealing with some pretty top competitors and out-of-state guys. I get to travel with my family. I get time off. I get to make decent money. I get to enjoy this journey. I get to have these types of presentations. I get to talk and engage and share love and share joy and share purpose and remind people to follow their hearts and get out of their brains. And with the office, 2 years in a row, we just found out we are one of the top 10 best places to work. Our culture is amazing. The people we get to work with, the energy and the discussions, life is good. The proof is in the pudding for me. I knew that I had to go on that journey first to be able to then step into this journey. And I wouldn't have ever been able to do that if I couldn't have gotten beyond my own brain. I had to get beyond my brain. I had to recognize this as a tool. Just like when you learn how to type, then it becomes this, and then it gets faster. That's what your brain's doing. It's a tool. Your essence is inside. It's deeper. Go quiet. You can find it. That's why I love EO. See, EOers, entrepreneurs, we naturally already operate this way. We have a core principle. We have a core drive. We know it. We're resilient against all odds. I mean, the entrepreneurs in this, the stories that I hear, they're amazing. How entrepreneurs are able to be resilient and overcome. And the EO core values: trust and respect, thirst for learning, boldly go, make a mark. And my favorite core value of EO is cool. Kind of seems like the weird one, right? Why would we say cool? All these other ones are really cool. So cool is joy. Cool is purpose. Cool is excitement. Cool is waking up in the day, putting your feet on the ground, and showing an attitude of gratitude, which takes you out of your ego, and it connects you with the world. It puts you in the shoes and soul of your life's journey, and it allows you to appreciate that. So the takeaway is, be honest. Be honest with yourself. Know what's really going on in your life. Find purpose in what you're doing. Don't let fear drive the ship. Follow Captain Soul. Let him take you to the harbor. He knows something that's broader and bigger and better than the stupidity of your brain. Because your brain is limited. Follow your heart. And mostly act in joy. Smile and love every moment. I have a handout. If anybody wants to have these principles written down, there's a lot more depth in it. It's back in the back with Candace. And I'll leave you with this. Most of the people that I know in here, and the EOers that I know, and the people that I don't know, you probably live in the white picket fence life. Reach down deep and inside, and make sure that the energy that you're coming from, and the journey that you're experiencing, is not prison bars. Make sure that it's true with your heart and your soul. Think about it, meditate on it, contemplate, and live that journey and share that joy for the purpose of others while you share it for yourself. Thank you.